The Defiant comes upon a wrecked ship from an unknown race, sending out a distress signal. Inside are several dead aliens and an unhatched egg. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
We've also got Melissa Longo here, and we are joined by writer-producer Mr. Marc Scott Zicree.
Hey, guys.
My name is Ryan T. Husk.
Hello.
This is our Lost Episodes series. We're going to be featuring a Deep Space Nine episode. As you know, back in the day, Star Trek would let people, writers and producers, pitch series and show ideas. And sometimes they got picked up. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they borrowed little pieces here and got writing credits. Marc Zicree was very successful, having done, of course, Far Beyond the Stars, gotten a writing credit there, and a bunch of others. He's also done Sliders, The Real Ghostbusters, Smurfs, He-Man, Babylon 5, you name it. I can't name it, but you could.
Yeah. I love your professionalism, Ryan. It's
Thank you. I'll get it one of these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was all off memory, if you can believe that.
Title here, and of course, you and I are both doing Space Command.
Space Command 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It's rocking and rolling.
Well,
Sweet.
Let's just get into it and talk about this episode. So this is an episode that you pitched. You wrote out a treatment for it. And these are the ones that maybe didn't get picked up for because of the timing or because they were already doing something like this or so many other reasons. But all of us fans, we want more Deep Space Nine. So here it is. First of all, this was...
my first question is...
Oh boy, here it comes.
An egg.
What's
in that?
Oh yeah, what's in the egg?
I thought you were going to ask your surprise question, but you're saving that.
No, you already got you piqued my interest with the pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one thing I can is that whenever I would go in for a freelance pitch, and that would be basically there'd be a writing staff that'd be hired, but then there'd be freelancers coming in every day to pitch stories. I would basically spend a few weeks first educating myself on all the episodes that have been done, trying to find out what they were working on in development. And then I would generate just a ton of ideas. I would try to generate about 100 ideas. And then I would winnow them down to ones that would work out fully, and then some ones that were just paragraphs and some that were just little springboards. And so when I went into pitch, I would almost always sell to whatever show I was pitching to. So it was, and I loved Deep Space Nine, of course, as I loved all the Star Trek shows.
Awesome.
What is like when you get turned down? What's the feeling like about the detachment or letting go of that story? Like, how do you feel about that process?
Well, yeah, it's called failure.
No, I don't. I didn't say that. Those are your words.
The base.
Those are your words.
What started was great was because there was Next Gen and then DS9, then Voyager, then Enterprise. Sometimes you could rework something if it hadn't sold. Other times you might just hold it in abeyance. But of course, I'm sort of an idea factory. I can come up with ideas very, very readily. And so I was thrilled when they bought Far Beyond the Stars. It took a year to sell that. And of course, it's one of the great Star Trek episodes of all time. And we're all very proud of it, you know. And
yeah.
So it was. I think that could I change the fates and go back and have them, you know, pick a different one? I would say no. Far Beyond the Stars is the one that will really have impact over the years. It's really profoundly important.
Okay.
I think that's without question. They definitely made the right move with that script and investing in that idea. That turned out to be golden.
Yes.
But basically, my question was more like about, you know, and you answered it about recycling ideas. You said there were other shows. Sometimes you can take things.
Yeah.
But the other question was, when you get the feedback from guys like Ira or Ron Moore, do you incorporate that as well?
Yes. Yeah. So, for instance, when I sold Far Beyond the Stars, you know, by the time it sold, I was a producer working on Sliders at Universal. So we would I took a lunch break and met them at Nicodell's next to Paramount, and the entire writing staff was there, and we just started batting around the notion and building it out. When Ira said, because Ira came up with the pivotal idea that it'd be about race, and that was a very dangerous and risky and exciting idea. and a perfect thing for Star Trek. And so, yeah, so we were all excited. And so, so we were riffing on each other. And then that weekend I went home and wrote the outline, and we were off and running. So, yeah.
Well, you guys, I've been sitting on the title of this episode this whole time, and I have to just say what it is, okay?
Yes.
It's called Papa Quark. Which is why, out of all the ideas you had, I was like, okay, we've got to see this one real quick. This was October 16th, 1996. Let's stop teasing people and just tell them what it's about. So the Defiant comes upon a wrecked ship from an unknown race, sending out a distress signal. Inside are several dead aliens and an unhatched egg. Our guys take it and incubate it. Only problem is that when the alien hatches, the first being it sees is, you guessed it, Quark, and it imprints on him. We play out Quark having this quickly growing creature tagging along at his heels and trying to learn all it can from him, become as much like him as possible. Quark naturally hates this, tries to get rid of the creature, drives it away, but the creature won't go. And it soon grows on Quark, parenthetically, much as he's loath to admit it. He finds himself in the role of a father figure, teaching his son all he's come to know. Okay, we can all totally picture this.
That's so cute.
Yeah, fun idea. Yeah, I wish I'd thought of it. Oh, yes, I did think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can comment on that. See, one of the ideas when you're pitching, first of all, you don't send those typed up versions in. You have them as your notes. You're standing in a room pitching to the showrunner and a number of the other writers. And so it's like a performance, and you try to come up with a variety of stories that focus on different characters in the ensemble, but something that expands the character in a way you haven't seen before. And you try and make it where just telling a paragraph or two, you see what the episode would be, you see what the fun potential of it would be. And that's obviously a very fun episode because Quark is not a father figure. Quark, it explores a side of Quark that you've never seen before. It's very fun and also, emotional as well, because it deals with the fact that ultimately does come to bond with this creature, and actually has to be a father figure who teaches this creature valuable lessons in life. So and then of course you could also see how the other characters in DS9 could get involved in that and could be riffing off, and also and also kind of poking fun at Quark, with this creature that's his, that he's daddy to. So you can sort of and also it's a shipboard, or station board show. So it uses your standing sets. The only thing they'd have to do is redress one of their spaceship sets to be that alien ship, but that's not expensive. So you can see how it's very affordable because it doesn't have a location shoot. It doesn't have something, so for as a freelance, you're also thinking from a budgetary standpoint, what would save them money, because their big episodes are draining the budget. They've got to have ones that are less expensive. So because Far Beyond the Stars, of course, was incredibly expensive with all the things they had to create for that.
Yeah, I could definitely picture Odo giving him a little tease like, oh, I don't know, I think he's rather cute, Papa Quark.
Yes. Now, some writers who would be pitching to Star Trek, they would then think perhaps that they could sell that as a comic book or sell that as a novel to the Star Trek, offshoots. But since I was a TV writer and really wanted to be just working in TV primarily, that's not a path I chose. But obviously, that would certainly have worked in any of those other forms too.
Mm-hmm. So it continues. Things escalate when the aliens who receive the distress call arrive. We find that they're a warrior race embroiled in a centuries-long war with another race, also unknown to us. These guys are appalled at what their lost chick has become, a mock Ferengi with its eye on the percentage. Quark must be persuaded to help the alien unlearn all that it has learned from him so that it will be able to fit in with its own kind. Quark has a hard time with this, as he doesn't want to admit that his Latinum-based philosophy is less than desirable. Also, the chick, or the you wrote chick the first time, but this time. Also,
baby chick.
Yeah, also
Right?
it idolizes, yes, exactly. Also, it idolizes Quark. It doesn't want to go with its own kind. It's a thorny problem.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's again where you're building the story, because you can pitch a premise that's intriguing, but then they're going to say, well, where's it go?
Yes.
And so you have to say, okay, let's twist and turn this. Let's see how it escalates, how it builds, So it's not just going in one direction, repeating the same gag, because you realize that the gag is a creature following Quark around and kind of, that gives you maybe an act or two, but it certainly doesn't build to a satisfying conclusion. So you're introducing more and more conflict. So it starts as social conflict from his friends giving him the razz, essentially, but then it builds to an actual conflict where it's like, do you train this creature to be a warrior and theoretically put it in danger and put it in a position where it might be killed in a war?
Mm-hmm.
And so that also relates to any parent where their kid is joining the military or whatever, and those issues and also of where you're raising kids. Do you raise them to be like yourself, or do you raise them to be themselves or something different? And how do you cope with that if they are different from you, where you're guiding them but not keeping them, in a cage? So these are all, and again, it's not hammering that home. It's not being heavy-handed with that, but that's all in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Typical Star Trek stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just really having some good themes, not beating it to death, but letting us think about it. And this looks like this is perfect for it so far.
Yeah,
well, that's what I do, he says. So it continues. It all turns very serious when a dreadnought of the aliens' enemy shows up on the attack. It looks like a war will be fought with us in the middle until Quark's alien ward finds a different way of relating to the adversary, not as enemies, but as potential customers.
Oh,
He manages to strike some kind of deal with them that opens a door to a possible peace between the two races. In the end, the boy agrees to go off with his own species. As a mediator, he can be vital, teach them a new way of peace. Quark, naturally, is proud as punch. His boy saved the day. But more than that, he showed Sisko and the others, who'd looked down on Quark's way of doing things, that the Ferengi approach was truly better. If you look at people as customers, you don't go around killing them. Okay, that sounds like a Quark quote, right?
Is that not a rule of acquisition?
Yeah.
You consider that beginning, middle, and end, and it takes you to a very interesting place where it's, because you think to yourself, well, how is this going to resolve satisfactorily? How is this going to be a happy ending for all concerned? And so that's the challenge now. But also the other part is, when you're pitching, you never know what they're going to respond to, or what they're going to say. Well, that's got a little similarity to something we've got in house, or whatever.
Yeah. So
that's a perfectly formed story. Obviously, one could sit down and write that very readily. I mean, it tells itself essentially. I mean, but that isn't the one they bought. So again, you go in doing your job, but you can't predict what's going to resonate with them, because obviously that would have been a perfectly fine episode. I would have watched that.
Do you remember if they said why they couldn't pick it up?
No, because I don't even remember writing it.
My first thought was the episode with the Jem'Hadar kid.
That too.
If this was before or after that episode.
Yeah. I mean, I pitched. I was pitching ongoingly to all the different Star Trek series throughout this whole period, and and then sometimes I would pitch, and like for instance on Star Trek: The Next Generation, I would pitch, and every single time I pitched, the producer I pitched to wanted to buy one or more of my ideas, and then was fired before they could purchase. That happened with David Tracy Torme, on and on. It happened about 5 times.
That's
Bert Armus.
Terrible.
And finally, Michael Piller came in, and I sold to him, but for First Contact. But but you can never tell. You recognize that some things are within your control and some things are totally not in your control.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is your best job. But I would treat it very seriously, and I would put real work into all of this stuff.
It also reminded me a little bit of Tosk.
Aw, good old Tosk.
Love Tosk.
and also when Odo was a dad for an episode as well. See, so I feel like this pitch might have been right around in there, like maybe either when they just done that or they had conceptualized it and shot it, but it wasn't out in public yet. So you didn't know, and nobody knew that this was already in the works.
Yes. And again, the problem with Star Trek, the challenge with Star Trek was by the time you get to DS9, they've already done, through Star Trek, they've done the TV shows and the movies. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of storylines. And plus, they were open to spec scripts. And so you were competing with thousands of stories, some of which you would know and some of which you wouldn't know. And that's what made it such a crapshoot. And the challenge was always to come up with something that fit the needs of production, fit the needs of the actors, explore the characters in ways you hadn't seen, and opened up the Star Trek universe, but didn't violate the rules of that universe. So you had to really love it to be able to be willing to put in that much effort. But the flip side of that was that Star Trek, unlike most TV, when it was great, would be telling profoundly important stories that could actually have a huge impact on the world. And so, as opposed to doing like, MacGyver or something, or CSI, where it's like, who remembers those? It's like you can't, it's like Star Trek actually had enormous power as an artistic storytelling, world. So that was, and I loved it. Of course, I'm who I am because of Star Trek. Hence my my background. So, but it was a great honor. It was a great honor to be able to go in and pitch to Star Trek, and everyone on the show. I mean, no one was cynical. Everyone loved these stories. Everyone loved these characters. The actors were enthusiastic. The writers, the directors. Nobody was just kind of phoning it in. Everyone knew that this was work worth doing. I assume, Sirac. Maybe you were phoning it in. I don't know. I don't think so.
I was doing my best. But I was thinking of, when I was hearing the episode, I was thinking of how funny it would be if this baby that was inside of this show was a tribble.
Funny.
A warrior tribble.
Yeah.
Because then like Quark would have like no use for him around the bar. Like how could you serve drinks? You can't do it. You don't even have arms.
Yeah. But see, again, that's why Star Trek is so fun, because Star Trek allows you to do comedy and drama. It has a huge range. And I was joking, of course, when I was saying, well, I don't know if you phoned it in, because obviously this was so wonderful. It's such a wonderful opportunity for all of us, because it was thrilling. And particularly, going back to the 90s, it's like, for Black characters, whatever, it wasn't the stereotypical bullshit. It wasn't, Far Beyond the Stars overtly says cops murder Black kids for no reason at all. It's like just cops are racist. The system is racist. It's astonishingly, it's an astonishing message to come from a major studio at that time or even now, and so it was with Far Beyond the Stars. But, you really knew that you could, be a warrior for truth on using Star Trek as that vehicle. So so it was thrilling for all of us, really thrilling.
Wow. Okay, this is great stuff. Thank you, Mark. And you've done a bunch of these. So that's going to be the end of this one, but it is now locked away in everybody's mind as official headcanon that this thing happened. Quark was a proud papa, begrudgingly.
Yes.
and Odo gave him a little ribbing, here and there. And he went to O'Brien for advice and Captain Sisko, and they all kind of helped him. And Bashir said, "My word, Quark," or whatever he does.
Yes, but it'd be also very interesting, the idea of going to Ben and saying, "Okay, how do you parent?" That would be a very interesting scene. That'd be a lot of fun to write. So
absolutely. Cool. Great. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Marc Zicree. And everybody at home, lock that one away, and we'll see you next time. Until then, always remember the seventh rule.